Hi everybody, welcome to my knitting channel. Today is episode 102 and we will be discussing November's dye project. I also have whips, finished objects, squishy mail. Yeah. What I wanted to start with today is something strange happened to me with Ravelry, and they seem to have no idea what happened or something. So it was Saturday, and I got this email from a customer, and she said, I bought your pattern, and it's not showing anywhere. It's not in my library. I didn't get an email copy. Do you know where this is? And she had already started to charge back. She opened a case on PayPal for $3. And I'm like, well, if she's going to do this, I'm not giving her the pattern, So I go through Ravelry. There's no record of that there's a purchase at all. So I go to PayPal and it says there was a purchase, but now there's been a claim filed, so now there's nothing. And I'm like, well, now is this like some weird scam? And she's gonna be like, email it to me, and I'll be like, and then she's gonna run off with it, which has happened so many times before. But it's $3, so I don't care. You know what I mean? So like before she had heard back from me, she filed the claim. So I was like, well, you filed a claim. There's not much I can do because I don't have access to anything. I can't, it shuts your thing down, so you can't inspect anything, and you can't, So I was like, I emailed Ravelry, and they were like, we don't show a purchase from this account. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that's my problem. And since it was Saturday, I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere. And then she stopped emailing me back at that point. Because, problem solved. And I'm like, no, where's the purchase? She purchased it. She has an email saying she purchased it. And PayPal shows it's been paid. So Ravelry is then supposed to release the pattern in their library and then email her a copy of it. That's what Ravelry does. I do nothing. I have nothing to do with how the patterns are sent. Ravelry takes care of all of that. So my problem is I've got two companies, Ravelry and PayPal, and both of them are terrible at getting back to you. So Friday came and went. I heard nothing. She was like, the buyer was like, oh, I'm going to buy it again. And I'm like, oh my God, no. But she already did. And then she emailed me and was like, I didn't get it again. And I'm like, because here's the thing. Every time you buy something through PayPal, every time someone buys one of my patterns, I get charged for it. So I got charged twice for her buying this pattern. One, she charged back, which meant I was going to have to give her a full refund. But guess what? I still have to pay that fee. So that actually cost me money of her freaking out and wanting to do the claim right away. So then I got charged. So I essentially got charged twice on one purchase. So I got like $1. And I'm like, could you not do this? So I deactivated my store at that point because I was like, if she's going to keep doing this, I'm going to end up like $10 in the hole for a $3 pattern. So I deactivated my store. And then I sent her an email copy, and I made sure I had proof that she got it. So if she tried to charge back the second fee, the second purchase, I was going to have a problem. So I went through everything on my side in Ravelry, and I saw there was one part that they had my old email address to PayPal, which is fine because it worked, but I don't know if that's what might have made Ravelry not show the purchase. I don't know how, because it still has all my other information there. And that email is still tied to me. It's just that I don't use it anymore because I updated everything to be in one place. So it still went through with PayPal, but I don't know if that had something to do with how I don't understand how having that email might have not let Ravelry finish it or send it to her library. So here's the weird thing. Once I went through and updated everything, on Monday, the purchase showed up in Ravelry. It showed up, but it was wrong. It had her name as the buyer, but then had my PayPal as the buyer's email, her buyer's PayPal address. That's my address. Like, and I can see all my past purchases. My address is never there. So it had her name, but my address, and I'm a little bit worried about that. A lot worried about that. So I'm keeping an eye on that. And my store's still deactivated and I still haven't heard back. She's like, she emailed me back and she's like, I'm having trouble understanding what your issue is. So I explained the whole thing again, where I got an email on Saturday. I got an email from someone that bought my pattern through Ravelry and did not receive it. So I checked PayPal, and PayPal had the money. It went through PayPal. And I come here, and there's no record of the purchase. So I just sent her the pattern while we figure this out. And I said, I don't know if this is fixed. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know why my email is still showing with her name. And I'm like, do we know this isn't going to happen again? Am I okay to open up my store? So I was a little concerned that she bought through Ravelry, but Ravelry didn't have any record of it. And then come Monday morning, when the record was there, it was wrong. So I'm like, does this lady have my access to my pay? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I mean, it's not a big deal of her knowing my PayPal email address because it's on her receipt. So I'm not worried about that. I just don't understand why it shows that she bought it with my email, with my PayPal address. It doesn't make any sense to me. And of course, Ravelry is no help at all, like they ever are with anything. And they're probably, I'm assuming they're going to blame it on PayPal and be like, well, you're going to have to talk to PayPal. And I'm just going to take all my designs down and put them on my website so that I don't have to deal with them taking days to respond to me and then not understanding what my problem is or whatever. So if you are a pattern seller on Ravelry, I know one other buyer, because someone in one of my knitting groups said the same thing happened to her. I didn't post anything about it. Someone posted that she bought a pattern and then never received it and she didn't know what to do. And I said, don't file a claim until you know that you're not getting a pattern, because that costs us. And I said, this happened to me. I didn't know anything about it until she emailed me. I said, report it to Ravelry and email the designer, let her know that this happened. And I said, and then please give her a chance to figure out what's happening, because I don't know what's happening either. And I had to deactivate my store because I was losing money through it. So please know that when you buy a pattern, we're charged whether you get a refund or not. We don't get that charge refunded. We have to pay that. So not only do you get it for free, we had to pay for you to have it, which sucks. But that's the way PayPal works, and I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate PayPal. They're the worst. Like, they don't care who's wrong. They side with the buyer every time. Like, I've been scammed, and they don't care. They don't care at all. Because people feel safe using PayPal to buy stuff. So, and there's no other place for us that's trusted like PayPal is. Because every time, do you take PayPal? Do you take PayPal? And I'm like, oh, God, I'd like to take literally anything else. So I think I'm going to pull all my stuff and put on my website and just leave it there. So anyway, that was a long thing. If you have a store, go check it right now. Check your email, check your PayPal, see if you've got any sales. I can't believe if I sold a lot more patterns and people were just filing claims and then repurchasing and filing claims and repurchasing, like, I would have no money left. Like, oh my God. I literally had $1 for that. I'm like, are you kidding me? So anyway, what am I wearing? I am wearing my finished MKAL. And one of my tops in Midnight Sea, which like is a really, really dark teal, almost black, and it really works well with this teal color that we got going on. It gives it some depth that it's not just all black. Yeah, I finished this. Should we do you want to do finish right away? I finished my Cash Aaron double layer hat. 96 stitches. I had 6 grams left. I should have gone with the 88. I'll show you. Now it's not like it falls down my face. It falls down my face, which I don't like. I really should have gone with the 88. But it'll be warm for the winter, which is really all I wanted, and it looks like it won't crush my hair too much. I'll have enough room here to put a bun up if I want to. What I like to do is I like to make the brim extra large, so if I want it slouchy, I can pull the brim down and still have enough to cover my ears and have enough to, if I want to put a bun in my hair. It's real heavy because it's almost full skein. It's almost 200 grams. I had 6 grams left over. I'm so mad at myself. I need to trust myself that when past me says 88 stitches, I need to trust that I know what I'm talking about and go, okay, 88 stitches, she's right, because 96 is too big. Like, I don't know that 88 probably would have been just fine. I mean, it's not too huge, but I do feel like I'm a child. But it doesn't matter because I really don't care what I look like in it. I'm just hoping it's not too big that it'll get blown off my head if it's windy. But it's pretty heavy, so I think not. It's real soft. It's going to be real warm, and that's all I wanted, a thick, warm hat for when it's windy and snowy and I have to leave the house, because that's my big thing. Is my head's going to get cold and I don't want to. So we have one finished object already. The other finished object is my Twists and Turns MKAL. So let's show you that. So I want to show you first how I ended up fixing it, or ending it. I did the early bind off. That's how I did it, because I did not, like I said, I didn't want the flap. I find this totally long enough. I don't think you need the flap. If you like the flap, do it. But I did not feel like I needed the flap. Do you have to do that righty-tighty, lefty-loosey still? I still have to do it. Okay, so we have these. I loved these. I actually hated this clue. I hated doing it, but I love the result. I absolutely love it. I love how he ended this too. I wish he had worked in the last one into this. Like, I wish he had somehow worked it. Because what I ended up I'm sorry, I keep turning my head away from the microphone. There we go. I want to talk about this section right here. Because as you know, I had seen some that looked amazing. Mine did not come out as well as hers did. But it's enough. It's enough for me to call it a win. because I had a gap over here, and then I wanted this to be as straight as possible. But then these blocked into points, which I wasn't planning on, but they did, so I just went with it. I love these embellishments. I think this is my favorite part, is these in the whatchamacallits. I think mine were a little long. The I-cords in the cable, the holes of the cable, absolutely, what a genius idea. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love it. I really liked this part. The knit side, I did not like doing the purl side. I liked this side, and this part is actually our dye project this month. It's real similar to this, to these short rows sections. No twisted stitches though. Here's the last part. This I loved, and I actually, this is the same stitch pattern as this, but without the chevrons and the tie things. Bree, how did you get in here? So this is the stockinette is gray, and then the black is garter. And I have an idea in my head for a shawl, because I'll show you in a second. The way I wore this, I really, really liked, and I want to make something similarly shaped, and I'm thinking of doing something similar to this pattern and just making it a whole shawl, but without the stripes, because I'm going to use one type of yarn the whole way through and just do this. I didn't mind doing these. The twisted rib strip, whatever this was. I absolutely hate the end. I absolutely hate the end. It looks terrible. I couldn't get it to line up, and then it didn't block the way I hoped it would. This is just impossible to show you because it's not going to stay up. Maybe I can do it like this. No, because it's black. You can't see it. Okay. Anyway, it didn't go at like an angle or anything. I think this one came out better, where I could kind of make it into a weird point. And this lined up here with the line, and I could kind of make this the point. Not my favorite end to a shawl by any means. Really don't. That's probably the only part of it I don't like, is that edge. Just because the edges, everything has to be perfect. And I feel like that wasn't, I mean, I got close enough, so it's fine. But my only criticism about this pattern was the lack of stitch counts in certain areas. Row counts, stitch counts, which he doesn't do. I don't know if they're in the final pattern, but in the actual one we're making it, it wasn't. He would say, like, you're going to do this many rows, or you're going to do this many repeats, and each repeat gives you this many extra stitches. So you could sit down and figure it out, but the fact that it wasn't provided in a way that I could easily go through here and check my stitch counts as I'm working, check my stitch counts, what row I'm on as I'm working, that kind of bothered me, knowing we were going to have two symmetrical sides and that they were going to have to be symmetrical, that was going to end up in the finishing. That's why my ends are different here. My ends are different at these 2 points. These 2 points were not at the same stitch number away. So That means I probably screwed up somewhere, but couldn't tell because there were no stitch counts or row counts. But since he's not a perfectionist and he doesn't care about stuff like that, and he says just fudge it, like, for people that can say just fudge it, I think that's fine. But if you're a perfectionist and you can't just fudge it, that we would rather be able to create it perfectly the first time and not have to worry what happens at the end if we've, so we can fix a mistake if we have one. We like to do that. I know he doesn't. And I watched his last Woolly World of Westnitz or something. He has a new episode out on his YouTube channel, and I watched it, and he said something. He said something like, "If you didn't like it, if you think it's the worst shawl I ever designed, maybe keep that to yourself," which is what I was saying the whole time. Guys, stop hurting his feelings. Stop hurting his feelings, because I like doing these and I want to continue to do these. So I wanted to show you how I wear this. It was someone on Instagram, I can't think of who, but she was showing all these different ways to wear it, and I just was like, I'm going to kind of do that sort of. So now that I'm able to wear it like as a top, I want to make more of these, but because it's such a weird, it's a weirdly shaped shawl from what I normally do, that I don't really know how to do shawls like this. So what did I say? I was gonna just try to do like his side, the part over here. I'm wearing my Batman pants. So I really liked the thought of wearing this like as a top. So I don't think I'm gonna be knotting it. I think I'll use like a whatchamacallit, a shawl pin or something. But it is giving me ideas for the summer. So that's my finished stuff. Should we go into... I'm going to have to check stuff off because I'm not going in order. Whips. First, I'm going to show you the Abrazo. This is a vest by... I didn't write down who it's by. Laura Nelkin. And we're using Euro yarn chunk from Knitcrate. I had to modify it. I started it, and okay, the two things happened that I did not like. The first was these start, the whole thing starts with ribbing on the bottom, okay, which you're probably not going to be able to see. So there's ribbing on the bottom, then there is a stockinette panel that is flanked by two cable patterns, and then the rest is stockinette. Real easy. There's only one thing to worry about. What I did though is she started the cable early, and I didn't. I waited. I did the because I didn't want it to interfere with the ribbing on the bottom. I wanted to have that ribbing because I might need it. So at the next round after the ribbing, when it was all stockinette, that is my round 1 of the cable pattern. I also changed the cable pattern because it was too different. It was the same cable, but there were a different number. This is a free pattern. I'm not giving anything away. It's the same cable pattern, mirrored, but the first repeat has so many rows, and then the second repeat has less rows. So I couldn't tell where I was, which repeat I was on. And I went, I love symmetry. I don't want this. And I looked at the picture and I was like, okay, you could tell the longer one from the shorter one. And it looked fine, but I was like, I'd rather it just be symmetrical the whole way. So instead of doing the 2, I just did the first one and am repeating that one all the way, because you don't have any more talk about this until you stop it farther up. You just keep working it and then you stop wherever you stop. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the fun part, look, you can even see the cable there. The fun part of this is never knowing what row you're on. So I couldn't figure out how to tell what row I was on with my cables, because like I was marking the 1 stitch, but then I wasn't sure how many, and do you count the loop on top? And I'm terrible at this, because if it's flat back and forth, you can pretty much work out by knowing which side you're on. If I'm in the round, I don't know, because if I'm flat, I'm usually 1 row short of what I think I am, so I know I have to still go back again. So I don't know how much. I know it matters because I'm doing a cable, but as long as I'm consistent, it's going to look fine. So what I did is I searched, and I found this video by Nancy Wynn, W-Y-N-N, that says how to count between cable rows. Now, this is in my list of recommended viewing, but I will put it in my description box in case you need to know. And she has a great tip. So she says to take an extra needle or something. I'm using my handy dandy cable needle. These are my favorite because I hook it in with the small end and then I put it like this. And then I twist it and work it off the long end. So I know which end they're going, which way they're going, so I don't mess it up. So here's what she says. She says, find the hole made. Please watch her video. It's like 2 seconds long. So there are holes, as we learned from this, putting our embellishments, there are holes in cables. Here's a hole. And on this stuff, they're very noticeable. So you find your hole, this one between your last knit stitch, that she shows you, you're not going to see anything because I'm not set up for that type of. So you take your last knit stitch and then the next one is a purl, right? So you find that hole and you put your thing up to where your your needle is. And then you count. You're able to count. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm about to do row 5. Isn't that amazing? I'm like, that it can't be that simple. And it's that simple. And if I go through and look at them, they all have the same number. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's fucking nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy how it's absolutely nuts. And I'm like, how did you do this? This is like some weird witchcraft. It's really, really funny. So I assume you can do that on any side, but I did it on that side because mine are more pronounced on that side. They all have 6. They all have 6. It makes me so happy. So when I get to 6, I just stop. You just stop. Like you could see too where it is, because there's a twist. You see the twist here. So you go, that's my hole. Because granted, bulky is pretty full of holes. But you could see the holes so plainly. And then you just hook this in there. So I'm ecstatic to have a way. And then I just hook my cable needle in there so I don't forget. But that was amazing to me. I'm like, okay, this might get me to do cables, because my one thing with cables is how do I know what row I'm on? Especially if you're doing it in the round, how do you know what row you're on? Because you know me, I like to read my work. I like to go off what I'm doing. So anyway, I have to work this for 8 inches. This is worked bottom up, so I have to work for 8 inches. I think I'm not going to have a problem now doing these cables, because I just need to see 6 I just need to see 6 strands of yarn, and then I know I'm ready to do another cable. It's a 4 stitch cable. It's very, very easy. I wanted to do the antler thing because that was on here, the antler one, the one that got the embellishment, because that's my favorite cable. I just think it's really cool to look at. Because it just comes out of itself, and I like that better than the cables that mirror each other. Like, that one doesn't need to be mirrored because it doesn't lean one way or the other. I'm really excited. I'm doing the size large because I was hoping to wear this over things. So I'm doing a size large because I want to wear it over some stuff. So we'll see once I get the 8 inches done. I'll probably try it on and see. My other whip came from, I was watching Shauna Stitches on YouTube. I was watching her finished a Twists and Turns MKAL, and she had a lot of yarn left over, as did I. And she found this Musselburgh hat from, now this is not the designer, this is someone who made OddlyHappy on Ravelry. I will link to her project because she took the Musselburgh, which is really close to my double-sided hat pattern, and worked it in 3 different colors. And so for the, I don't take mine apart, I sew mine together. They're still reversible, but I sew mine together. So for this part, on both sides, she does some helical knitting, which is just knitting in the round, but you do like all of your colors at the same time. So it's more like a spiral than actual rounds. You're just working around and around and around until you're done. With 3 colors. So the hat starts in one color. You add your accent color, and then you change in the middle. You change your main color. So your accent color runs through, or your let's call that an accent color. So your accent color runs through the main color, where you change to your contrast color. Then your accent color works through the contrast color. So then you're going to have a hat that on one side is your main color, the other hat will be the contrast color, and when you flip up the brim, you're going to have your contrast color and your accent color. And on the other side, you'll have your contrast color, you flip up the brim, and you'll see your main color and your accent color. So she also has it for 2 colors, if you want to see that. The same lady, OddlyHappy. I'll have a link to the hat she did, but I'm not using the Musselburgh hat. I'm using my own hat pattern and just using her directions of what she did. And so we'll have it in the 3 colors. I am this far right now. As soon as I finished that hat, I started this hat. Now, this is going to be a little bit, because this is alpaca, silk, and cashmere. Why am I making a hat? I don't know. So it's not as really, tightly woven, but it's going to be doubled up, and I'm not really worried about it. It's like pretty much just to use up the stuff and It's probably a hat it's not a hat I'm going to wear when it's real cold anyway, so it doesn't matter. Because I'll wear hats anyway if I don't feel like doing my hair, which is like all the time. So I'm using these same colors, 1, 2, and accent. That's the other thing I'm working on. However, I can't work on it at night because it's too dark and I can't see anything with the stitches that small. So I've been doing the vest. So let's do squishy mail real quick. Like I said last episode, I went to Around the Table Yarns because Laughing Cat Fibers was having a trunk show. I wore this shawl. 3 people commented on it like they knew what it was, so I was pretty happy. It was hilarious because when I went up to the thing and gave them all my stuff, they had these shark stitch markers from Katrinkles, and I hate stitch markers this way on these light bulbs. I don't like them on these light bulbs. So I'm going to redo these on the loops. I'm going to redo these on something else. I'm not sure what. But they're wood and they're sharks, and I love sharks. They're only on one side though, which was kind of a bummer. One-sided. What is this? Oh, is that supposed to be a shark fin? A glittery shark fin. When the girl was ringing me out, she said, oh, we also have this wooden shark, I think it was a fiber cutter. And I was like, oh, yes. Meaning, I want that. And then she didn't charge me for it. It's not in my bag. So I'm a little let down by that because I did want it. But whatever. So I got wool stock worsted, blue sky wool stock worsted. That's exactly the top I'm wearing. It's this, just in a different color. This is Storm Cloud. So I have a darker gray, and this is a medium gray, because I love this base so much. Oh my god, I just love it. It works up so softly. This is Peruvian wool, right? Fine Highland wool. It's the best. It's so squishy and soft and lovely. Like I said, it's my favorite Highland wool. It's hands down my favorite Highland wool I've ever. It is expensive. It is expensive, so I try not to, it's expensive. And because it's 150 grams, I only get one top. So I don't get an extra cropped. I get one full top, which is fine. It comes in 50 grams, so I could get 4, but then I'm like, why? Or I could just buy another one to do. Maybe one day I'll do that, just go in and buy some 50 grams of it. Why don't I do that? I could totally do that. Anyway, I also got Sheepjes. You can't see it. Organicon. These are 50 gram, 170 meters, organic soft cotton. Color is ebony. I wanted to make a hat. My husband wanted a hat. I bought this because they had some bamboo, universal yarn bamboo pop or something that I wanted instead, but they didn't have enough of it, so these were cheap. These were like $5 or something. So I just bought 3 of these. So either I'll get a hat or he'll get a hat. Someone's getting a summer hat out of this. But then I also ordered us the bamboo pop. Hasn't shipped yet. Then Laughing Cat. I think this is a new colorway. This is MCN base, my favorite, 80-10-10. Recycled EXF Superwash. I don't know what that means. Extra fine superwash merino, cashmere, and recycled nylon. 80-10-10. 100 grams, 437 yards. This colorway is called Eucalyptus and Pine. And if you know, I'm not a big fan of brown, but I love green and I love anything that looks woodsy and tree-ish. So I think this is going to be one of my shawls, maybe a carry, because I love a carry. This color might be a nice pick-me-up when I'm having too much happening in the winter, you know what I mean? When you're like the winter blues. I think this would pull me out because it looks like my outside. It looks like my outside. It looks like my sunshine, because this little bit undyed is kind of creamy. A little bit of sunshine, a little bit of woods, some grass, some trees. It really feels outside to me. Not normally colors I would do, but I feel like looking at this would make me feel better. And the 437 for a cashmere is unheard of. Usually they're like 425. You know, it's a lower. Now the other one I got from her is, I got two of these. Diamond Silk Sock, 80-20. Superwash merino and silks. This is 20% silk. See, got that nice overspun 2-ply. Colorway is Ganymede, 400 yards, which is why I bought two of them. Because I don't, you know me, purple and green. I don't know what this is going to be yet. I don't know if I have enough for a top, if 800 yards is enough for maybe something cropped. I'm not sure. Or if it'll be a shawl. Either way, I love these colors. I think they are gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So this is so soft, I can't even tell you. So that's what we got. And I also wanted to tell you that while I was there, Laura from Laughing Cat Fibers was there, and Tina from Tina's Twisted Fibers was there. And Tina, as you know, was the only indie dyer that would talk to me when I wanted to start dyeing yarn. She actually told me where to get bases, where to get dyes. She told me the secrets. She really did tell me the secrets. And I had a real hard time finding, beside Felicia Lowe's book, of finding stuff that would tell you. And then I found ChemKnits, which is amazing. But that's also the reason why I do my dye project shows, and why I tell you where I'm getting something. When I buy bare yarn, I tell you where I get it. I'm not a business, so I buy it retail. So these are places that you can buy retail if you're not a professional dyer. That's why Tina is the reason why I did it, because I wanted to learn so bad and couldn't find anyone to teach me. And Tina she will tell you any secret you want to know. What's the secret? She'll tell it to you. So that's why I want to tell the secrets too. If there's a secret, I'm going to tell it to you. Here's a secret. Right now, citric acid the price is astronomical. Astronomical. Let's see. Let me pull up what my citric acid is right now. I bought 5 pounds of citric acid. Here's my order details. I paid $13.99. $13.99. There's no tax on that. Oh, is it a food product? So I paid $13.99 last July 2021. 5 pounds, $13.99. 5 pounds today, $32.99. So that's like a $10 increase for the same. No, $20. 13 to 33, $20 extra. That's more than double. So, needless to say, if you, I'm trying to see if they have the 50 pound now. Needless to say, I'm not paying $33 for 5 pounds of citric acid. Citric acid is not expensive. You use it in canning all the time. In fact, if you're looking for citric acid in your grocery store, go to the canning section. That's where you'll find it. I think this markup is supply chain issues. I think it's just supply and demand. I think they're having issues with the supply. So for that reason, I will have to switch to white vinegar, which, as far as I know, has not changed in price since the pandemic and is not having supply chain issues. Because I asked my husband the other day, I said, is white vinegar still cheap? Because, eggs are going up, everything's going up. He's like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, I'm going to need some. And I'm like, and now, dye project days, your eyes are going to be stinging, or at least my eyes will be from, I hate vinegar. Vinegar just makes, it's like onions in the air. It makes my eyes water. I hate it. I hate the smell of it. It just gets in everything. I don't like it. I like citric acid because there's no smell. And it takes up less space for the same amount. So until that comes down, $33, $20 more. That's ridiculous. So I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. Not. So that's just a ridiculous increase. It's so crazy. So anyway, when you see dyers saying that their costs have increased, that's probably one of them. And we're also having trouble getting our dyes. Our dyes are not in stock. I'm fine because all I use are primaries, and we haven't been having trouble with the primaries. It's been other colors. So I'm able to do almost, I am getting low on black. This is a surprise. And I hate ordering just for one thing, but I'm going to buy the biggest one they have. What are we doing? What was I doing? Going back to being at Around the Table Yarns. It was so fun because Laura recognized me immediately when I came in, and I was surprised because I had a mask on. I didn't think she'd recognize me, but I think my hair gave me away. And we took a picture together. It was all fun, and she was telling me about her yarns, and then I was picking up my yarns, and then they invited me to sit down with them, and there was another woman. I don't want to say what her name is because I just met her, and I don't know. So I don't know if she would be okay me sharing that I met her. But she is a local, I don't know if she dyes professionally, but she was showing me pictures of the fiber that she had, fiber. And she said that she likes to break colors, and she had some gorgeous stuff with just using colors that break, which I don't like to do because it's so unreliable, and you can't repeat, and you don't really know what's going to happen. So I was like, oh my God, like I would never do that, but that's so cool. Like I love meeting people that like are the opposite of you. And to see what they're doing, because her fiber colors were absolutely gorgeous, and I couldn't believe you could get, well, obviously that's how dyes are made up, but that she has to try and get them to break. She has to get her, like the same way I make my dye conditions so I get full saturation, so I get a full coverage. She's like doing the same, like working the same way, but to make sure she can make colors break. And I thought that was so interesting, like how, because I don't use colors, I use primaries, they don't break. So which is one of the reasons I use primaries. But it's fun, you get to meet people that are, and she invited me for a dye session at her place, and it sounds super fun. But I was there for a while, and we were talking dyeing, and I told them about something that I haven't told you, and I didn't mean to say that at all, but we were talking around, we were, sitting down talking about dyeing, and it was just really fun. It was it's nice to be around people like you and people that know what you know, and sharing things, you know. I had such a great time. I really, really did. It was so great to do that. And I had forgotten that you get that when you leave your house sometimes. Okay, so November dye projects. If you remember, this was Novita's, I forgot what it was. Novita something, I think. Novita something. They were a medium gray single ply that I was going to dye charcoal. I did not dye it charcoal. Actually, I did dye it charcoal. I went to 2 grams of charcoal. Well, here's the thing. They were too thick to all fit in my steam pan at the same time, so I had to dye them 2 by 2. So I did 1% charcoal. It was enough, so I did another 1 gram charcoal, another 1 gram charcoal. And then I took it out and let it dry a little bit, and then I did the other with 2 grams. I just did 2. I just 2 grams of charcoal, put it in. And while that was, you know, doing its thing, I let this dry a little bit and looked at it, and I hated it. I really, really hated it. I hated it so much. So I was like, let's put 2 grams of black on it. So we did 2 grams of black. I got decent coverage. I didn't want to over it all the way. I didn't want to completely cover that gray. I was hoping with the charcoal we could have hold on to some of the tones, the tonality, and some of it didn't. I don't know if you can see that not all of it covered up. So we will have some lighter spots, but look what the end of it did. Oh my goodness. That's how lightly spun it is, that it just in the water just came right out. So, and it was disgusting to touch because fibers were just falling out everywhere. It was gross and hairy, and I'm hoping that it doesn't do that once it's worked up, because I won't wear it if it's gonna lint all over the place. You know what I mean? It also doesn't feel very soft now that usually they get softer, but it's such a tight, the cowl itself, what is this? Brianna's Reunion cowl, right? It's really thick. It's done really, really thick. So it's not very drapey. It's very thick. And it's almost like a rug. It's almost like a rug. It's almost that thickness and that drapelessness. I don't know what the opposite of drapey is. It's very stiff, and that's why it works as that cowl. It keeps the shape really, really well. I'm hoping, because I've done this so many times looking for the perfect yarn, and I can't find the perfect yarn that isn't acrylic, because I don't want to wear acrylic. Just makes me sweat underneath it, and I don't want to do this, but this feels scratchy here. It's Hugo, right? I think it's Hugo. But it just is 100% wool. It doesn't say what kind of wool. And I'm not usually wool sensitive, so I'm not sure what wool this is. Oh, and you guys, so this was 2 grams for each one. 2 grams of charcoal, then 2 grams of black, Washfast Black, ProChem for both. So because there's 2, that would have been 1% charcoal and 1% black. It seems, but they were already a pretty dark gray. So I probably could have done another gram of either of those to darken it up. I probably could have done another gram on each. we're doing them in 2 separate batches. So we're doing 200 grams, okay? 200 grams. So 2 grams on 200 grams is 1%. So we did 2 grams of charcoal, 2 grams of charcoal, 2 grams of Washfast Black, 2 grams of Washfast Black. So that's 1% charcoal. It's 1% depth of shade of charcoal and 1% depth of shade for Washfast Black. I've got a nice covering. That brown, oh, that brown is just the tie. I had to tie. These were in skeins. I had to hang them up so we could dye them. So we got pretty good coverage. Some places it's lighter than others, and I don't really care because that's just gonna add some depth while we're to the finished piece. If there's any parts of it that I think look bad, I could just spritz them with some, 1% black and steam them. I don't think I will, though. I don't see any of them are light enough. We didn't get any resists or anything. I tied the ties pretty loose. They came up perfectly. They did go down to 160, and I only needed 160 for these to exhaust. So that was a surprise. 160. I don't, because it's non-superwash. Does non-superwash go at a smaller? See, because I don't know what wool this is. This just says 100% wool, so I don't know what wool. It could be anything. Who knows? I don't know. So we're going to make Brianna's reunion cowl with this. I will probably do that this weekend. I'm going to work on that vest as much as possible. That's where I'm focusing right now. And when I don't want to do that, I do the hat. But this, because it's the short rows, it's got short rows like this section. I just want to sit down and knock it out because I don't like. I like to do an entire wedge without being interrupted. So I like wedge, and I don't know how many wedges there are. I think there's 9 or 10 or I'll have to look at my previous things and see. But I think for the weekend, if I don't have anything to do, I will probably sit down and finish this. Just knock it out, get it done. Probably, hopefully. I did want to talk a little bit about, I think U.S., we had our midterm elections yesterday, and I live in the state of Ohio, which since the overturning of Roe versus Wade with the Dobbs decision earlier this year, first it was leaked and then it was put out in June, my state has a heartbeat ban on women's access to abortive health care, and right now I think it's still in a stay. I think I think we're fighting the state about its implementation with the heartbeat bill. Very notably worldwide, a story broke earlier this year about a 10-year-old girl here that was a victim of rape, obviously, because she's 10, she can't consent, and she had to go to Indiana to access abortion care. And I was hoping that my neighbors were as outraged by that as I was, as the world was. And that thankfully the girl ended up being able to go to Indiana, and she is okay. She's okay now. And so anyway, yesterday at our midterms, my state came out and said good. And our governor is still in place. We went red everywhere, because this is Trump country. I live in Trump country. And I'm feeling pretty defeated as a woman. I feel very unsafe here. I feel like I feel unsafe. I feel like I am not safe in this community with these people. And I don't know if this is going to impact where we move. Oh, they also kept, we had 3 Ohio Supreme Court openings, and they all went Republican. So we're red, which means we're probably not getting our maps redrawn. We had I think it was 6-7 years ago, we had an actual where people voted. I've talked about this before. We went out and voted for fair maps in Ohio. And we've been fighting the Supreme Court has been fighting that the maps, because Republicans are all in charge, the maps the Republicans are turning in are still gerrymandered. And they're saying, no, this is not a fair map. Come back with a fair map. So we didn't have our maps for the 2020 election like we were supposed to. We're hoping we have them for 2024. Not looking likely now, is it? So we were supposed to have them this year. Nope. So I'm pretty disappointed. Feeling like I want to move away and go somewhere where the government recognizes me as a person and gives me the right to control my body. I don't know how 10-year-old victims are not enough to sway people. Look at Kansas, look at Kentucky even. Everybody came out. I think because we didn't have a specific measure. But now I'm worried, what if we had? Because our governor is the one who pushed the legislature to make that heartbeat bill. And he was like, I will sign it. And he signed it. So I don't know how you can, if you are pro-choice, which the majority of people in this country are, how you can vote for that man. I don't know how you can reconcile that in your head. I don't know how you can. And that's even before he was governor. He was saying that's one of the issues he ran on, was a heartbeat bill. But the point was moot because Roe v. Wade was in place. And, as far as we knew, nothing was going to happen. So I'm feeling defeated, but the country did great. We held everything. I'm amazed at what happened because I've been following elections since I could vote, which was Clinton's midterms. And to have it be a midterm and have a Democrat-controlled White House, Dem Senate, Dem House, and to have them hold. We're neck and neck. They still haven't called anything yet because it's Wednesday. That is outrageous. It is amazing. We should have lost. We should have lost so many. There should have been a red wave. Historically, there should have been a red wave. And the only reason I think there wasn't was because of the Dobbs decision striking down Roe v. Wade. I think that's the only reason. I think that's what you got women mad. Because those places that had abortion rights on the ticket, people came out and overwhelmingly, I think, struck them. Even Kentucky said no. And we're right above Kentucky. But I'm kind of glad now we didn't have it on the ballot because I'm worried I feel like the entire country did good. They held the line, and Ohio just dropped the ball. And now I'm scared. I was hoping, because I've been scared since the release of Dobbs, since it was leaked. I've been scared because I don't know what they're coming after next. I know they're not going to stop here. They're not stopping here. I don't know if they're going to come after birth control, if they're going to come after any type of gay marriage. I don't know what they're going to undo if they get the chance. So I guess we're going to have to wait to see, because there's, I think, 3 Senate races still at Warnock. Is it going to be a runoff now in December? They're going to have a new election in December 6th, I think. And we're still waiting on, I think, is it Arizona and Nevada, I think we're waiting on to see what happens with the Senate. So probably when I release this on Friday, we'll already know. So I don't know if we have to commiserate in our misery or everything's going to be okay. But this is what we were waiting on to see what I was waiting to see what the next 4 years in my state was going to be like, and it's awful. It's what the last 4 years have been. So Ohio's getting no reprieve. We're getting no reprieve at all. So we really need the U.S. Congress to come through and codify. They have to codify Roe, or the women in Ohio, 10-year-old girls in Ohio are in trouble. We're in trouble. On that note, what is next week's show? Do we know what next week's show is? I don't know what next week's show is. It's going to be a surprise, because I haven't decided yet. I'll give you a hint, though. It's probably going to be my goals for next year. Probably. It's not going to be a recap. I also do an end of the year recap, but we're not there yet. I don't know what I finished yet. So probably what my goals are for next year. Maybe. Possibly. Okay. Guys or ladies, guys encompasses everything. Peeps, dudes is still. I hate y'all because I'm not Southern. We say you guys. Use guys. You guys. That's what we say. Guys. I don't have a good word there to use yet. So I'm just going to go with what I've been doing forever. So anyway, come back next week for maybe goals for next year. Who knows? I reserve the right to change my mind at any time. I always forget what I say at the end. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.